and you guys were networking, you were building your network. What were you guys looking for? Were you looking to buy a single family home in the Jacksonville area? Were you looking to flip something? Tell us a little bit more about that first deal.
Well, and this was back in 2006, which was an interesting year in the market, right? In 2006, anybody in real estate could have success because the market was on fire. And, for us, one thing we really learned early on was that if we wanted to treat this like a business, we wanted to manage risk along with this. As you can tell, just by Alex and myself, this is probably more of my role going into this. So how do we manage risk while we're going to this? And one of the ways that we learned how to manage risk while becoming good at this business was doing a term called wholesaling, which is, an active way of going into real estate and finding undervalued properties and then selling those contracts to an eventual investor who's going to renovate the property and make a profit. And that was a way for us to understand what the Jacksonville real estate market was, to limit the capital needs, to limit the risk of actually having to renovate homes, and to generate a quick profit, which is really important when you're a couple of 23-year-old kids, trying to survive. And so that's what we really started out doing in the first year. And like I mentioned, in 2006, everybody thought they were good at real estate. So we thought we were good at real estate in 2006. So we started to do more, right? If you're good in the beginning, start to do more. So we started to do more. And we really tried every avenue of real estate. If I kind of move forward a couple of years now, wholesaling was how we got started. We flipped high-end homes. We flipped low-end homes. We did lease options, seller financing, you name it. We tried it and did it. We also spent a considerable amount of time learning about debt and learning about how to acquire rental properties that produce positive cash flow. And so in about the first year and a half, we acquired a portfolio of about 40 rental properties here in Jacksonville. And that was one part of what we were doing. Now, we were doing a lot. We were kind of a jack of all trades at that point, really a master of none. And at the same time, this was 2007 and 2008. And, Annie, Julie, remember what happened in 2007 and 2008 in real estate?
I'm gripping the edge of my chair because I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? So you're building. You're seeing all this success. So tell us what happened.
Well, if you were in real estate in 2006 and you thought you were good because everybody was making some money, in 2007 and 2008, of course, the opposite side of that happened too. All of those things that we thought we were good at, we quickly realized that we weren't. The market was falling. It fell 35% here from 2007 to 2010 here in Jacksonville and across the country. And it was a really tough moment for us. We lost a lot of money in all areas of the business, except for one, these rental properties. And we spent so much time trying to manage the business on all of these active ways of generating income in real estate. And we realized we're good at those, but the 40 rental properties that we had continue to produce positive cash flow. And I remember realizing that even though the market value dropped for those rental properties, those were my retirement account, right? I wasn't going to sell them no matter what. So it didn't matter that the value of those properties dropped on paper. And so that was an equally important epiphany for myself and Alex. And I have an additional business partner at that time too. And his name is Adam Regal. And the three of us did a look at what was working, what wasn't. Those rental properties were, everything else wasn't. And at the same time, people had kind of been asking about our journey being 23, 24 years old. How did you actually buy 40 rental properties? That's not normal. And so with the state of our business at that point, we said, we need to make a shift. And what we realized is that we had something really working underneath our nose, which was our rental property portfolio. And we had some semblance of demand because people were asking us about us. We're like, let's go to that. Let's figure out how to build a business to replicate what we had done for ourselves and create this experience of owning rental properties for the masses out there, for everyday people, and create this wonderful experience for people to actually build a portfolio and hold on to it for the long haul. And, through the great trial and tribulation of everything else not working, figuring out that this was our hedgehog, this was the thing that we were built to do. Fast forward now, it's been 16 years that we're in business here in Jacksonville, doing the same thing, focusing on our turnkey rental properties and property management. And we've had the blessing to serve over 1,300 clients now. They come to us from 49 states and 13 countries. The only state that we don't have yet is West Virginia. So we're dying for our next client from West Virginia, hopefully. And we manage over 4,300 rental properties here in Jacksonville. All in all, get to manage over 750 million of real estate assets, some 16 years later. And it's been an incredible journey.
So tell us a little bit about that. I want to understand that, and I want our listeners to understand that a little bit more. What the process looks like, what the price points are, what kind of rents you're seeing on these newer builds.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about there is no perfect investment out there. So let's also talk about some of the things that are not going to be the flashiest or the greatest or the things that most folks would find appealing, right? And I'm going to dive straight into neighborhoods. Julie, because you mentioned it. All right. What I heard you mention was, maintenance cost, right? And vacancy cost are high, and we want to avoid that. And when you're talking about new builds, right, in multis, we talk about like location, or we talk about like type of build, right? A new build would be kind of like a Class A build, right? But the location that we are investing in are below middle income neighborhoods. So when you mention C neighborhoods, I'm going to dive right in because we love C neighborhoods. The thing about it though, is the end goal, we want to invest in C neighborhoods because that's where we can invest in Jacksonville, which is a growth market, which has higher than normal home price appreciation, but that's where we can still get positive cash flow, and positive cash flow is critical, right? And we accomplish lowering maintenance and vacancy costs a number of ways. Number one, it's a new build. We also do renovate to a very high standard on certain homes as well, but the majority of our construction is new construction. So that's going to limit your maintenance and your vacancy cost. But we also sign long-term leases. And most property management companies don't sign long-term leases. They only sign 1-year leases. And if you only sign 1-year leases, inherently, you're going to have more turnover. You're going to have higher maintenance costs, you'll have higher vacancy costs, and you also have higher property management fees to pay. So JWB, our clients, we sign 2- and 3-year leases with our residents. And we do that even though we know it's a lot more work, and even though we knowingly give up income on the property management side, because it's going to produce a better return on investment and allow us to have low maintenance costs, low vacancy costs, even though we are investing in